Hey friends, today I am excited to share with you some of my favorite low maintenance but high performing annuals for the garden. We are getting ready to enter into the growing season for 2024. It is a very exciting time. I know that I am just itching to get into the garden and plant some gorgeous flowering annuals for my garden. But while we wait for the time to be appropriate for that to happen, this is the great time of the year to go ahead and start planning your garden. Whether you're going to put stuff in the landscape, you're going to put things in containers or hanging baskets, whatever the case may be. So today I am going to share with you some of my top picks of these really low maintenance plants. These are no fuss plants, but they give you great performance. They give you great flowers and color throughout the entire growing season. Before we get into the name of the plants that I am going to give you, I want to kind of give you a bit of a criteria that I was looking at for these plants. These plants do not require a ton of fertilizing, so you're not going to have to be in your garden, every week giving them some sort of liquid fertilizer and get them growing. They are going to be more resistant to bugs. So for example, for me in the South, I deal with Japanese beetles. These plants are not going to be a food source for your Japanese beetles, so you don't have to worry about that. And then once they are established, these plants are drought tolerant and just average water needs. These are not going to be water hogs that you're constantly going to have to be out there. All of the plants that I am talking about today, of course, come from our friends at Proven Winners. There are going to be lots of plants. So grab your gardening journal, get comfy, and let's just dive into it. Any of the plants that I am going to talk about, you can go to Proven Winners website. So just go to provenwinners.com and you can enter in the plant name as I have it on the screen, and it is going to give you all the different color options. It is going to give you all of the plant specs as far as the size and the width and the planting directions, as how far you need to space them. So if you want to know some really detailed information about these plants, just head over to provenwinners.com. Enter in the plant name as I have it here on the screen. As we go through each one, they'll pop up and you can get everything you need to know. These are not in any kind of order. I just did a brain dump and there we go. It's gonna be tons of fun. If you know Jenny, I am a huge fan of the Color Blaze Coleus. Color Blaze Coleus is so incredibly versatile and easy in the garden. They are not going to flower. This is going to be a great example of where you can get beautiful color in your garden without flowers. Another great benefit of the Color Blaze Coleus is that they can do any kind of sun conditions. It can do anywhere from full sun to full shade and anything in between. And they come in a range of sizes and colors. Some of my personal favorite ones, the big boys that I like to use in the landscape, of course, Wicked Witch. You cannot go wrong with Wicked Witch, and I love to pair it with Lime Time. That's the great thing about Coleuses. No matter what your color palette may be in your garden, there's going to be a Coleus that will fit into that color scheme. Sedona Sunset is another great favorite of mine if you like to go in those kind of those oranges and those reds. If those are going to be a little bit too big for you, maybe you want to try one of the newest ones is the Mini Me Watermelon. Nice, short, petite Coleus. Of course, that beautiful watermelon color that is going to be great for containers. It is going to be great for the front or the edge of your flower bed. If you want something that trails, well, guess what? You have the drops. There is chocolate drop, strawberry drop, and cherry drop. So these are going to be really great in containers to give that spiller effect, right? That will fill the spiller role in your container gardens. One that I personally love to use the drops is in the landscape because it acts as a ground cover. Magnificent way to fill in a space in your landscape that is quick and easy and is just low fuss. So if you have never tried the Color Blaze Coleus before, it is one of the easiest plants to grow that is super versatile in your garden. You name a color, there's going to be a Coleus that is going to match it. So look for the Color Blaze Coleus. Mojave Portulaca. Portulaca is one of those plants that, especially like where you have those high temperatures, we are in North Carolina, a zone 8A. Our gardens in the summertime can really struggle, especially when you're looking at July and August into September. The Portulacas never miss a beat. They are going to be nice and low growing, but with huge flowers. They come in, you've got red, you've got orange, you've got yellow, and you've got hot pink. Loads of different colors that have big, beautiful flowers on them that your pollinators are going to be really attracted to. Fun little thing, especially if you have some kids in your life, is that the portulaca, the flowers will open and close with the sun. So at night, they tend to close, and then in the morning, they will open up. Portulaca is very drought tolerant once you get it established. It almost has like a sedum type feel to it, so it has those nice thick kind of waxy leaves that retain water really well. Use it in the landscape. It is nice and low growing, be perfect to, again, fill in those areas, in those really sunny areas of your garden. And then if you use it in a container, it will spill over nice and low profile, and will spill over. So check out those Mojave portulacas. They are great. I love them. One that I will forever have in my garden is the Blew My Mind XL Evolvulus. Blew My Mind is just a phenomenal plant that the tougher the conditions you give to it, the happier it is. It hates to be fertilized, so I never do my water-soluble fertilizer with it. When I plant it, I use the Proven Winners time-release fertilizer, and that is it. It is very low growing, so it has that nice kind of that same habit that we're talking about, like with the portulaca, low and wide. It has a nice kind of a silvery blue foliage to it, and then it has true blue flowers. Sometimes it can be hard getting those true blue flowers in your garden, but Blew My Mind XL has those flowers. It's actually a member of the Morning Glory family. So if you're like me here in the South, Morning Glories can be a very big nuisance because they are problematic as far as the weed. Not Blew My Mind. So it will be very drought tolerant, but again, those flowers will open and close with the sun, just like your portulaca and just like the Morning Glory vines. So check out the Blew My Mind XL. I water it maybe twice in the beginning when I first plant it, and then after that, I'll leave it alone. Very, very tough, very, very high performing and gorgeous flowers that your pollinators are going to love. Graceful Grasses. The Graceful Grasses series from Proven Winners gives you loads of options for beautiful color in your garden. I'm a huge fan of grasses. I think sometimes they are underused in our gardens, and they provide just a different texture. They provide movement in the garden, which is really important. You can use them in a container. I personally prefer to use them in the landscape because we have such a long growing season here in North Carolina. I can plant my grasses in April and they can go all the way through November. So we have an extremely long growing season. The more water you give them, the more soil you give them primarily, the happier they're going to be and the bigger they're going to be. My problem in a container is that I get through like halfway through the season and the plant has just been, the roots are so vigorous that maybe it can take over a container. So if you have a really large container, or maybe you just have a shorter growing season, then these graceful grasses would be great for you. They come in a range of colors. You've got, of course, the great purple fountain grass, that deep, deep, rich purple color. Skyrocket is a huge favorite of mine because it has that green and white variegation to it. If you need something with a little bit more red, go for Fireworks. Of course, it is that great reddish color to it, and all of those grasses will do the really fun kind of like white plumes. And then you've got the tuts, right? We have a whole family of tuts. You've got Prince Tut, Queen Tut, Baby Tut, and King Tut. We've got them all. These are great for wet areas. So if you have a problematic area in your garden, or maybe you want to use them on the edge of a water feature, these would be great. Beautiful, upright, green foliage to them that have really fun little tufts at the top. Lantana. There's a massive series of lantana that Proven Winners offers. Again, it comes in a range of colors. If you want to go more white, pina colada is fun. If you want to go with yellow, you have got citron. You want to go red, then you have got red zone. The orange marmalade is a beautiful orange. You have got the citrus blend. You've got the pink berry blend. You name a color, the lantana is going to come in those colors. Nice mounded habit to it. Now these lantanas, depending on where you are, depending on your growing zone, they may be perennials or they may be annuals. The cooler zones, they're going to be annuals. The warmer zones, they could easily be a perennial for you. Lantanas thrive in the heat of the summer and the humidity. The humidity of North Carolina does not bother lantana one bit. it thrives. So when the rest of my garden is starting to look sad in August, September, the lantana is at its prime. It is going to be more deer resistant. It's going to be more rabbit resistant because it has that tough foliage. It kind of has a bit of a minty herbaceous scent to it that the critters are not going to love. However, your pollinators, your butterflies, your hummingbirds are massively attracted to lantana. So this is one that you may go to the garden center this spring and it's just this little mound. It could not even be flowering at all. And that is fine. I really encourage you to grab at least one or two of the lantanas from Proven Winners. Try them because when the heat of the summer hits, man, you are going to be so glad you did, because while the other things may start looking a little rough, not the lantana. It is thriving in the heat and the humidity of the summer. Talking about the heat and the humidity of the summer, the Sunstar Pentas. I'm a big fan of pentas because, again, they are so low maintenance, but the flowers on these plants are huge. You've got, again, a range of colors. You've got red, you've got pink, you've got actually two shades of pink. You've got a light pink and a dark pink, and then you have a lavender. One of the very first things that I noticed about when I tried the Sunstar Pentas for the very first time is that while some of my other plants were getting eaten alive by Japanese beetles, not the pentas. They just leave the pentas alone, but they have the biggest flower heads on them. And as the season progresses, the plant gets taller and they just continually bloom. It'll start blooming when it's young, and then as the plant grows, you just get more and more flowers. You do not have to deadhead them. They are just great. Big attractors for your butterflies and your hummingbirds, and then of course your pollinators. Try the pentas. If you have a nice sunny area, you are going to love it. Again, landscape or containers. The diamond euphorbias. There's a whole family of the diamonds as well. You have Diamond Mountain. Diamond Mountain is nice and big and light and airy. This is going to be for your really, really large pots or the landscape. Huge, beautiful, airy white flowers on it, and the plant by the end of the season can get quite large. I've had it to get up to be like 3 feet tall before. So the mountain part lives up to its name. Mountain's a little too big, go for frost. Same, almost the exact look. And when you're in here in the garden center, it can be really hard to tell the difference between Diamond Mountain and Diamond Frost because the flowers look the same. The habit looks the same. It's when you get it in the landscape or the container that you're going to see the difference. The Diamond Frost is going to be a much more manageable size and not nearly as big as Mountain. And then finally, we have Diamond Snow. Diamond Snow is going to be that one that has a really tight, compact habit to it. So I tell my folks, if you're looking for a big pop of white, like you really want to see white in the landscape or a container, go with Diamond Snow. Just all I can say is it's a tight habit with massive loads of pure white flowers. So the Diamond series of Euphorbia, great, people, I'm telling you. And it will do, it's not really rated as shade, but I have personally found in my shade garden, it still performs really, really well. So just keep that in mind. What loves the sun? The Rockin' Salvias. There's a whole series of Rockin' Salvias that are going to be just massive performers because they continually give you flowers all season long. The hummingbirds go nuts. Sometimes I will recommend Vermillionaires, one of my all-time favorite plants for your hummingbirds, but Japanese beetles can like them. So if you have a problem with Vermillionaire and the Japanese beetles going to that, try the Rockin' Salvias. You've got the fuchsia, you've got the deep purple, you've got the blue suede shoes, and then you've got Playing the Blues. Gorgeous, nonstop blooms all season long. Hummingbirds and your pollinators, your bumblebees, your honeybees love these plants. They also tend to be more resistant to your deer and rabbit because, again, they're in that salvia family and they have that minty herbaceous scent fragrance to the foliage. Suncredible sunflowers. You get two options here, folks. So you can do Suncredible Yellow, which is that classic yellow sunflower, or you could do Suncredible Saturn, which has a beautiful bicolor to it. These are going to be continuous flowers all season long. The more you cut on it, the more you cut those beautiful flowers to bring indoors for your cut flower arrangements, the happier the plant is going to be. It gets nice and tight, it gets compact. For me, at the end of my growing season, it can be anywhere from 3 to 4 feet tall and wide. And they just chunk out the flowers all season long. It is a great plant to, again, I personally prefer to put it in the landscape because it can get quite large. But you can put it in the back of a flower bed. You can put it in the middle of a flower bed. It really depends on how you are going to be using it in the landscape. You can put it in containers. Absolutely, you can. I would encourage you to get the biggest container that you can, your space will allow. Put it in there and then just enjoy those flowers, but then cut them, right? Cut those flowers, bring them inside, and the plant will be happier, and then you're happier because you have got flowers inside your house. Cleome. Sometimes Cleome has gotten a bad rap. It's what I call a grandmama plant, meaning that this is a plant that your grandmother would have grown. She would have grown it from seed because Cleome historically could be a pest in the garden because it would throw out hundreds of seeds in your yard. I don't have time for that. I don't want hundreds of Cleomes coming up all across my yard. That's why I love the Senoritas from Proven Winners. They are going to be sterile, meaning they are not going to produce seeds. They are thornless. So historically, Cleomes would have thorns on them. These do not. And they also are pretty much fragrance free. A lot of times people would say that Cleome has kind of a skunk smell and it would stink. Not these guys. You get two options, Senorita Rosalita and Senorita Blanca. You have a rose and you have a white. These are going to be great ones to bring height to your garden, height to your landscape, no fuss, just easy peasy. These are not divas in the garden, but they just perform throughout the growing season. Bring a nice height to your garden and a nice different texture with those flowers in your garden. So I would really encourage you, try the Senoritas, try one or two. You're going to love them, I promise. And then impatiens. Impatiens is also what I call a grandmama plant. We had them, forever, and they would sometimes get a bad rap. I personally love impatiens. We have, whether you have a sun garden or a shade garden. For my sun people, sun patiens. Sun patiens are going to be another one of those plants that produce flowers nonstop long, all season long, just continue to give you loads of color, and they really hate to be fertilized. So impatiens, as a general rule, you really don't need to fertilize them. If you want to put that slow release fertilizer in there when you plant, that is great. Maybe throughout my growing season, I would do some water soluble twice. And that is like you're looking at like a 6-month, 7-month growing period, and I would fertilize them twice. And this is if I was in the area and I thought about it. But with the sun patiens, you get loads of color. You can do white, you can do pinks, you can do oranges, you can do a bicolor with like a rose, you can get a variegated foliage. Loads of different options that are going to give you a nice bushy habit and covered in flowers nonstop all season long. If you have shade, try the Rocapucos. Rocapuco impatiens are double impatiens, a really fun, unique flower on them. A lot of times people will mistake them for like a miniature rose. They look like a miniature rose, but they are impatiens, perfect for the shade garden. Even here in North Carolina, I can have mine get some morning sun, so about 4 hours in the morning. Definitely need a break in the afternoon sun where I am. But they too, they're impatient. They don't like to be fertilized. They have a beautiful, nice, tight mounded habit to them. And again, they come in a huge plethora of colors. Pure white. They have a wisteria, which is a lovely purple. You have got coral reef. You have got orange. You have got apple blossom. Just lots of options for you in your shade garden. They do great in a container or the landscape. If you put it in a container, I will say, give you a little bit of caution. This would be what I would call a messy plant, in the fact that it will drop petals a lot. So if you have maybe by on your front porch or a high traffic area that you want to keep the floor clean, maybe don't put the Rocapucos in there, but they do great in the landscape. Just a little word of caution to you, because I know that some people, I know like I even did it on my front porch, and I just, about the end of the season, I was like, you're driving me crazy because there was petals everywhere. So just keep that in mind. And then finally, last but certainly not least, are begonias. They have a huge selection of begonias, and it depends on kind of the purpose and what you're looking for in your garden. Both of these begonias will do sun or shade, extremely versatile. I have done them in both applications, and they perform really well. So first we have the Surefires. I love Surefire begonias. They are going to be taller, more upright, and more of a bushier look to them. They come in a ton of colors. You've got rose, you've got red, you've got white, you've got the cherry cordial, lots of different flower colors, and then even your foliage is going to be a different color. Very, very low maintenance, my friends. If the Surefires are going to be a little bit too tall for you, check out the double ups. The double ups are going to have a more of a mounded habit to them. Beautiful, small, double flowers, but they will absolutely cover the plant. You've got them in red, white, and a pink. So you have lots of options whether you want to put it in a container or the landscape. Again, if any of these have piqued your interest, head on over to provenwinners.com. Just type in the name and you will get loads of pictures, lots of information, and all the details that you could possibly want. So make this list, go to your local garden center this spring, and enjoy shopping and planting. And as always, we hope you have found this fun, informative, and inspirational. We'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.